Welcome, everybody, to the Fanmouth Daily Fantasy Baseball Breakdown for Tuesday, May the 13th. I'm Joe Marsh, joined today by Dave Del Grande. How you doing, Dave?
Doing good.
All right, we got 15 games on the slate tonight. We have a full slate. If this is your first time tuning in, we go through all the positions. We tell you who we like at each position, help you build your lineup with our recommendations. Starting off with pitcher now. Today is similar to yesterday for me in that there's no pitchers that I really love. No one jumped out at me. I could think of reasons not to start everybody. So I can't really find guys that I love, starting guys that I like. The first one is Strasburg, obviously the most expensive pitcher. He was off to a bit of a rough start to the season, but his last four starts have been good. They've been all quality starts. He's only allowed 4 runs combined through those starts. For the season, he's got 12.17 Ks per nine, second in the league only to Jose Fernandez, facing Arizona, who's an average offense. So like I said, I don't love him, but I probably will use him. I think he is still the best starter going tonight, and he's worth spending. I'll probably pair him with David Price. He's been a bit up and down this year. Like his Ks per nine, 8.55, and he's facing Seattle, who's not a good team against left-handed pitchers. They hit about 240 as a team against lefties. So I think that combination there, that'll still leave me some money to spend on offense. I'll have to find some values, but I think Strasburg and Price is the way to go today. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I'm concerned about Strasburg. I think he's a very good pitcher, but he has yet to show it on the road much this year. He struggled, like you said. He's done better of late, but I do like some of the other options. So I think you can do better than Strasburg tonight. So I'm not going to pay the highest price. Then again, my two top choices aren't that far behind on the salary chart. You mentioned one of them. I think Price is a great play tonight at Seattle. You said it. Seattle doesn't hit left-handers well. Price has been very good on the road this year. High strikeout guy. I think he's a very, very good play tonight. My second choice among starters tonight would be Wainwright. Wainwright's been basically untouchable at home this year, despite what we saw last night from the Cubs. The Cubs are not a great offensive team. The Cardinals looking to extract a little revenge tonight after what happened to my pitcher last night. Wainwright's a high strikeout pitcher. So I think if you want to spend money, I think there are two really good options to do so. I also like two guys on the other end of the spectrum, and this gives you options if you want to go with a high potential offensive lineup. I think there are two good pitchers out there that you can really consider in really good matchups at very low prices that I would be considering much more strongly, if not for the fact that I really like these high guys. Harrison of Texas tonight pitching against Houston. Of course, it's always good to go against Houston, but Harrison is a quality pitcher, a strikeout pitcher who got off to a unhealthy, should we say, start this year, but is starting to come on. Texas shut out Houston last night with a lesser pitcher. I think he could have a really good game tonight. And I think Leak tonight at home against San Diego. Leak's been very good at home. San Diego is arguably the worst offensive team in the league. I think that's a very good matchup as well. As I said, I find those attractive, A, because of the matchups, and B, because of the low prices.
Yeah, I like those guys. I think those are good picks as well. On Wainwright, I was a bit torn. He was probably the third best for me. I'm with you. I think the Cubs have exhausted their bats. I think last night was all the scoring that, about as much as they score in a week, they scored last night. But the problem for me is Wainwright's got a 7.5 ERA against the Cubs. He's made 2 bad starts against the Cubs this year. I know it's a small sample size. That was just enough to scare me off of him tonight. I know he's going to be a popular play everywhere tonight, so I'm going to go against him. Hopefully that works out for me. Who do you like at catcher?
Well, to me, the number one offensive play tonight in terms of team is San Francisco against Atlanta. Minor has not pitched well. He's got a very high whip in his limited starts this year, including against the Giants last week, where the Giants didn't score a lot of runs against him, but did have a lot of base runners. They're a very powerful lineup against left-handed pitching. The ball is flying out of AT&T Park last night. I don't know if anybody saw that game last night, but 2 balls into the bay, which hasn't happened in a game since Barry Bonds played for the Giants. So there's something about the wind direction or the weather or something about AT&T Park this year. Maybe it's just bad opposing pitching. But I think Buster Posey is a very good play tonight. He's not even the highest priced catcher, which he should be given this matchup. I think he's one of several Giants you should consider tonight.
Yeah, I think we agree on Posey, and then I'll even throw in Hector Sanchez, assuming he's in the lineup if they play Posey at first base. Not sure if they'll be playing Morse at first base, but I think they would like to get Sanchez in the lineup against the lefty. He's hitting 357 from the right side of the plate today. Mike Minor, you mentioned it. He's been terrible to start the season. 6.97 ERA, 391 batting average against. I say if Sanchez is in the lineup, which I'm hoping he is, I believe he hit fifth last night. I think get him in your lineup. I think I like him hitting from the right side a whole lot. What about over at first base? What do you got?
Well, I think at the rest of the infield positions, I think there's some really nice value. And this is one reason that I'm considering starting the two high-priced pitchers today is because I see good value at all the rest of the infield positions, first base being one of them. Now, I like Teixeira. I mean, Teixeira's my top choice at first base. He's 13th highest salary guy on the Fanmouth charts, and yet he's much pricier than two guys below him that I think are very good situational plays tonight. One is Francisco of Toronto, who's just been hitting the ball well since he's been getting the opportunity to play. Toronto's up against Masterson tonight, who's been very mediocre on the road. Toronto, of course, has a very nice offensive team. And Adams of the Cardinals hits right-handed pitching very well. They're facing Arrieta tonight of the Cubs. Again, a very average pitcher. I think the Cardinals are going to put up some runs. I think both of those, very potent bats against right-handed pitchers. Very low prices for those two guys. So, I'm looking at both those guys. I'm looking at Teixeira, and all three of them I'm seeing very good value.
Yeah, I absolutely love Teixeira's matchup. He was my top play yesterday, and unfortunately, he wasn't even in the lineup. For a cheap guy, I like Brandon Moss. Now, I couldn't find much as far as a home run guy today. I ended up going with Moss. I've got a lot of guys, whose batting average I like a bit, who I like to get on base. I couldn't find a whole lot of home run potential, so Moss is sort of a default pick today. The guy I really like, though, is Justin Morneau. I'm not worried about this being a road game. He's hitting just as well on the road as he is at home. He's killing right. He's hitting 340 against righties, and he's got a good track record against Shields. He's hitting 341 for his career against Shields. He's got 4 home runs in 41 at-bats. Shields is a good pitcher, but there are a couple Rockies that I'm going to be slipping into my lineup, and Morneau's one of them.
This is going to be an interesting series, I think, because a lot of people are going to be playing Rockies, and who's to say they shouldn't be? The Rockies have been tearing the cover off the ball, hitting right-handers, hitting left-handers, like you said, even hitting better on the road this year. But Kansas City has quietly beefed up their pitching staff to the point where traditionally this would be a matchup where you would say, wow, the Rockies on the road, not at a hitter's ballpark, going up against a pretty good pitching staff, man, red flag here. So I'm curious to see what happens. I got a lot of respect for Shields. I expect Shields is going to shut these guys down pretty good tonight, but based on what's happened earlier this year, I'm not sure that's happening to the Rockies. So I'm going to sit back and watch tonight's game, but I'm very curious to see how it turns out.
Yeah, obviously the Rockies have been red hot. A lot of people are off of them because of Shields, but I'm going to stick a few of them in there. A few of them have had a lot of success against right-handers. So, moving over to second base, I got a couple options for you. Jose Altuve, not a name I say a lot, hitting 455 this year against lefties. He's facing the guy that you like, Harrison, giving up a 271 batting average to righties. I don't like a ton of Astros, but I think Altuve, has got a great batting average against lefties. The other guy I would go with whose price for some reason dropped is D. Gordon, hitting 365 against righties. Facing Turner, who struggled this season, he's allowing a 333 batting average. I talked again yesterday about his ability to run against the Marlins. The Dodgers did steal 3 bases yesterday. Gordon did not have one of them, but I think they're going to continue to run. They're very aggressive on the base paths, and they've got some good base stealers there. And again, not sure why Gordon's price is down so low, but he's in the lower tier as far as second baseman. You see something like that, I'm going to jump all over it. How about you?
Well, again, here's an option where you can play one of the Giants' big sluggers and get him at a remarkably low price. For the life of me, I can't figure out why Hicks's price hasn't come up more. He's been as powerful basically as any second baseman going. It's almost like, when did the Giants acquire Cano this offseason? He's the guy who's come west out of nowhere and is just hitting home runs right and left, drove in a big run last night's game as well. It's definitely a home run threat today against Minor, and at a price that's dirt cheap, which is remarkable. I was looking at Murphy of the Mets and thinking this is a nice matchup. The Mets and Yankees played a high-scoring game last night. They got two pitchers going tonight that say high-scoring as well. So if I got money to spend, which I think I'm going to, maybe I'll throw Murphy in there and save a giant slot for one of the outfielders. But, man, I have a feeling I'm making a mistake if I'm not playing Hicks at his price tonight.
Yeah, Hicks is an interesting guy. He's very boomer bust. If you put him in there, you're looking for that homer. You're not going to get, a lot of hits, a lot of at-bats even, or a lot of runs scored. So you really want that homer. And he's got, I believe, 7 or 8 on the season already, which is, great for a cheap second baseman. What about third base? What are you thinking there?
Well, I like David Wright at third base. I mentioned the Mets and Yankees matchup as one where I talked about this yesterday. The Yankees have two guys who on Fanmouth qualify as third basemen in Solarte and Johnson. They're both low-priced guys. I'd like both of their matchups here. I would actually give Solarte a slight edge there. But I'm going to look on the other side of the diamond here and go with David Wright, who's been hitting well, reasonably priced. There are 6 guys who are actually more expensive than him. I like the matchup against the left-hander from the Mets, from the Yankees tonight. He's someone I think you would strongly consider as a home run threat. He's not my pick tonight, but I have a feeling he's going to hit one. I think he's a very solid play.
We're getting 2 home run picks from Dave now. He must be the master over there. Yeah, I like Wright. He absolutely crushes left-handed pitching, so that's a great play. And I'm going sort of similar thinking where there's 2 guys that I like from the same team that qualify at the same position, and that would be Aviles and Chisenhall. Both hit righties well. They're both facing the struggling Dickey. I'm going to give the edge to Aviles. He's hitting .333 against righties. He's hot right now, hitting .444 for the month of May. And he's facing Dickey, who's struggling a lot, giving up a .278 batting average to right-handers. I think Aviles is a solid play. I believe he's around the 12th or so highest priced third baseman, so a decent price there.
Dickey scares me. Dickey's a guy who, man, you talk about boomer bust guys. When he's got that ball dancing, he throws a shutout. If it's not dancing, he pitches 3 1/3 innings and gives up 8 runs. I'm never quite sure which guy is going to show up. In a home game tonight against a Cleveland team that I would consider less than average offensively, I expect to see the good side of Dickey show up, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, exactly. Moving over to shortstop, obviously Tulowitzki is the obvious name. His price is down a bit from where it was. It had climbed over 10, so I like it where it's at. But like you said, he's facing Shields. I'm not sure I love that. Give you another guy, Brandon Crawford. You loved your Giants tonight. This was a guy who had always struggled against left-handed pitching, and I'm not sure what happened this season, but he's hitting .410 with 3 home runs against left-handed pitching. Something, not exactly sure what, caused him to suddenly be, crushing left-handed pitchers. And in fact, he's not even hitting that good against right-handed pitching this season. So kind of a weird thing, but I love that. I like him going up against the weak lefty, like you said. That's a guy to attack. So I like Crawford. What about you today?
Agreed. Here's another Giants guy that I think is very strongly worth considering. I mean, you might consider going with Hicks and Crawford as your middle infielders tonight if you don't particularly care for the Giants outfielders. Like I said earlier, you've got to have at least 3 of these Giants going tonight. And these 2 guys are the 2 best bargains on the whole team. I don't know what's happened. I agree with you. Crawford used to not be able to hit lefties. They would bench him against lefties. Now it's like they bench him against righties.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dominating left-handed pitching. He's hitting the ball over the right field wall there, which he's never done before. I'm not sure how it's happening, but I'm ready to ride it, especially at the price.
Yep. Good call. Moving over to the outfield. Some good options here. Melky Cabrera's one we got to talk about. Hitting .350 with 4 homers against righties this season, and he's got a great track record against Justin Masterson. He's 15 for 27 in his career. He's never struck out against righties. We don't talk about batter strikeouts a lot, but you do lose a half point for that. So I think he'll be good for a couple hits today. Shin-Soo Choo is a guy I like again today. Dallas Keuchel's allowing a .308 batting average to lefties. Choo's hitting .395 against lefties, and he's hitting .477 on the road. I think Choo is a very, very solid play, especially in cash games. Corey Dickerson, I'll give you another Rocky. Again, another guy whose home and road splits I'm not worried about because he has a higher OPS on the road. He's been killing right-handed pitching, hitting 385, and all 4 of his home runs have come against right-handed pitching. He's another guy, who's been crushing the ball in May. He's hitting 423 so far this month. What are you thinking in the outfield?
Well, I think there's a lot of options out here, kind of like pitchers. You got money to spend. There's some really, Bautista. I'm surprised you didn't mention him. You mention him every other day, and usually, and with good reason. He's been as good a hitter as anybody in the league. Nothing wrong with his matchup tonight. Adam Jones tonight against a lefty. He crushes lefties as good as anybody in the league. I really love his matchup tonight. He's my home run pick going tonight for Baltimore. Nelson Cruz from that same lineup. He only qualifies as a DH on the Fanmouth game, but that's fine. Another powerful right-handed bat against the left-handed pitchers. I think those 3 guys, either of Texas's guys who are high-priced guys, Rios and Chu, both tonight going up against Ketchel, a very mediocre pitcher. I think all 5 of those guys who are all in the top 15 on the salary charts, but you got money to spend, pick and choose among them. And then, as I mentioned before, you got these 3 Giants guys, none of whom are in the top 25 on the salary charts, and all have a chance to have a big game. Angel Pagan would be my guy in terms of, he got 3 hits last night, 2 stolen bases. He's going to be a speed guy. He's going to get on base in front of the big boppers. I think he could have a big game tonight, or if you're looking for the home run, both Pence and Morse have home run potential in this game. And like I said, all 3 of those guys have very reasonable prices. So you want to spend money, there's some options. You want to save money, there's other options. I think it's a great night for, to find some good outfielders.
Yeah, you mentioned that I'm always looking to, Jose Bautista. What took me off him is Justin Masterson's allowing only a 171 batting average to right-handers. I would look for a better matchup than that if I'm going to pay top dollar for Bautista. But, yeah, he's always a guy that I love, a guy who always has home run potential. So that wraps it up for all the positions. We'll go ahead and give you our final words. For me, it's, the pitchers I like, Strasburg and Price. I think I'm going to go with that, although – I don't love them, so I may come off of Strasburg and look to save money there because there are more hitters that I like. I may spend a bit more on offense. I think Hector Sanchez is a great play. I think you probably really should consider him if he's in the lineup. I like Brandon Moss. D. Gordon, at his price, is just too good to pass up. And again, Brandon Crawford, that's a guy who's going to help you save money so you can build your lineup elsewhere. He's cheap, and he's killing left-handers right now. What are you thinking? Final word, Dave.
Well, I agree with you. I think the big choice that you need to make tonight is, do you want to spend on pitchers or not spend on pitchers? Now, last night was a very big offensive night around the league. And there were some surprise pitchers. You could have won last night pitching Colby Lewis and Tim Lincecum. At very reasonable prices and stayed away from the high-priced guys and just gone with hitters. Tonight looks like another one of those nights. There's a very good bargains across the board, I think, especially with the Giants. I think I count 5 Giants who are all really good bargains, and obviously you're not going to play all 5 of them. And then there's Posey, who's a high-priced guy, but is a guy you got to consider as well. So if you play 3 or 4 of these Giants, you're saving money for yourself to the point where you can go ahead and afford to put the high-priced pitchers in there. But don't feel that you have to. Harrison tonight against Houston. Leak tonight against the Padres. These are 2 below-average price pitchers going up against way below-average offensive teams. So, you've got a lot of options out there, but that's the first one you need to make, the first choice you need to make. You want to spend on pitchers, you want to spend on hitters, because you can play the game either way tonight.
Yeah, I was with you. I had Leak as well on my rankings, and now I'm considering actually going with more of a low-priced attack at pitching because I think it's a bit more questionable, and there are some really good offensive options. Maybe pair Leak with Price and save a bit of money for offense. That wraps it up for today. I believe Dave and I will be back on Thursday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check us out, blog.fanmouth.com to see our full rankings, or join us at fanmouth.com to get in the game.